Over the last 8 years, I've generated over $300 million in attributed revenue for tons of e-commerce brands that you've probably heard of. We've also built emails that look like this, and this for some of the name brands that you also study. And in those 8 years, the one thing that I've seen most brands bleed the most amount of revenue from is their post-purchase flow. This is where you're supposed to make the most amount of revenue, but instead you're probably losing it or you haven't even built it out correctly. If you're still sending a transactional email from Shopify that is simply a, hey, your order is confirmed, and that allows them to track their order, you're doing something incredibly wrong, and this is costing you so much more money than you realize. So my promise to you is by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how to build out the correct post-purchase flow and exactly how to increase your AOV, your LTV, and ultimately increase your overall revenue with this flow, because it isn't supposed to be a quick, hey, your order is ready, leave us a review. What it is supposed to be is it's supposed to be a walkthrough, it's supposed to be a guidance, and it's supposed to guarantee that they're going to come back and buy again. And if anything, the next time they purchase, they're going to spend a lot more with you. So let's jump straight into it. So like I said, you're building your post-purchase flow completely wrong. The psychology behind a post-purchase flow is what actually increases AOV and LTV, and why most brands build it incorrectly or backwards. So let me just explain very quickly before I jump into the real meat. And trust me, you're going to want to see how we build it out, because it's going to be gold for your brand. But what is the post-purchase flow actually for? And most brands really do think that it is just to share the status update of their products and cross-sell them. And that is in theory true, but there's so much in between there that isn't spoken about. And no one is teaching this for some reason. So here's exactly what it is. Your customer just gave you money. This is your moment for where their attention is at the highest, right? So you want to make sure that you're removing buyer's remorse, number one. Number two, making sure that they know what a great choice they made and looking forward to their purchase. Number three, teach them how to use what they bought so that they actually see results. So if you're a supplement brand, teach them dosage guides, teach them the routine, the protocol of using that product. Or if you're a fashion brand, teach them how to style that product. Show them different items that they could wear with that product subtly. And then when it comes to the cross-sell section, it's so much easier because they know how to use your product and they actually see the results. Now, what you want to do is you want to nurture them towards their second order, almost like the welcome flow all over again. So this is essentially not just a receipt for their purchase, this is actually the start of retention. So what we're doing is we are removing buyer's remorse. That's the whole purpose of this. And as an output of that, as a result of that, we get increased AOV and increased LTV. That's the power of this flow. Now, this is the incorrect format, right? The incorrect format is order confirmation sent like this, where it looks just like a traditional Shopify notification. That's probably what you have set up. At the very least, you probably have a really poor email. Then you ask for a review, and then you cross-sell them. Now, the intention behind it doesn't make sense, because you just send an order tracking straight off the default Shopify template, which makes no sense, and it's a little bit scammy, and this is what scares them, because this looks completely different to your branding everywhere else. Second of all, you push a review as soon as possible, but you don't even know if they've enjoyed your product. You haven't even given them enough time, not even a full month of using the product before they know whether they like it or not. And lastly, you're just showing them bestsellers and hoping they buy again. Whereas in actuality, you should be pushing them towards products they're more likely to purchase based on AI suggestions. And I'll get into that shortly. So the thinking here is, people ordered, hopefully they order again. That's not a strategy. We want to avoid that. So this is why this format kills your LTV. Number one, you're asking for a review before they've even used the product. You cross-sell before that you've built any trust at all. And nobody removes the buyer's remorse. The doubt stays. So yes, they have your product and they're kind of using it, but they don't really know if it's working properly. They don't know if it was worth their time. That's not a good sale approach. The correct approach is you want to nurture first and then ask later. And as a byproduct of the nurturing and the exceptional customer experience, they will end up converting. So a review request on order number one is pretty much a gamble. What we like to do is we like to ask for it on number two, email number two on the second purchase. And here's the correct format. So don't get overwhelmed. There's a lot of emails in here, but you can always break it down. What we like to do is we break it down based on how many times they've actually purchased. Because the issue with yours is you're sending the same emails regardless of how many times they purchase. Maybe it's a repeat customer on their fifth order and they're still getting the same old emails. That's not really a nurturing strategy. What we should be doing is guaranteeing that those repeat purchases spend more the next time they come, and first-time purchasers want to spend more and return more frequently. So The way that we do that is we obviously trigger based on frequency of purchase. So when it's their first ever purchase with us, this is where the nurturing really matters. This is where exceptional customer experience matters. And what we do is, number one, we send a plain text email from the founder saying, hey, just got your email and I just got your order. It just came through. Really, really wanted to say that I appreciate you. I want to ask that you keep an eye on your emails because I'm going to be sharing so much value. It's going to be disgusting. I want to make sure that you understand how to use your product. I'm so excited to show you how you can use it in different ways that you probably didn't realize. So keep a lookout because it's going to be a game changer for you. So you're in the highest intention of teaching them, and they're in their highest intention of learning because they just got their product, and while they wait for it, they want something to look forward to. Then you want to wait 2 days or so after they place an order, and we want to now start getting them excited. We want to set expectations, make sure that they know how to use the product and that it's not going to be an overnight reward. So if it's a supplement product, let's take AG1, for example. It might take frequent use and a routine before they actually see results. So we want to set those expectations because that's going to preserve what they expect when they use the product. We also want to set expectations for, let's just say that we're a wellness brand that stays away from sugar. We want to set the expectation of flavor. If we're a fashion brand, we want to set the expectation of how to fit the product, how to wear it properly, when to wear it, seasons to wear it. Things like that are going to make a huge difference. And you want to reiterate what a great choice they made. So you're getting them excited, you're removing buyer's remorse, they bought into the brand because the founder themselves have reached out. It's incredible strategy. Then email number 3 is, are you using it correctly? You want to send this out as soon as they get their product, the same day or the day after. And here you want to say, hey, now you got your product, here's how to use it correctly. Here's a dosage guide. Here's ways to use it and places to use it. So again, this applies to all industries. It doesn't matter what products you use. Then from this, they're going to know the exact protocol. They're going to have a better understanding of how you like to kind of advise people use it and how other people use it. And this way, they're going to get the realistic protocol in place instead of just kind of flimsily using it and then use it incorrectly, don't see results, and decide your product is bad. We don't want that. We want to teach them how to use it correctly and then move along that way. Then, around the 14-day to 21-day mark, and this is dependent on if you're a wellness brand. If you're not a wellness brand, you want to play around with this. But for a wellness brand, this is generally the time that they're going to start running out of their product, assuming that they use it daily or at least pretty often. What we like to do is we want to send an email saying, hey, are you running low yet? Or we pick something out for you. So here we want to push, hey, you're probably running a bit low soon. We don't want you to get to a point where you run out and you miss out on the routine that we spoke about. So reorder now, just add it to your cart and place the order when you're ready. Here are some other products you might want to add with it, by the way. We took a look at what you liked, and we're going to suggest some products you will definitely need to take alongside this to get the best out of the best. And then, obviously, send over a little bit more of a nudge on SMS, etc., etc. Then, email number 5. What you'd save with Subscribe and Save. This is specific if you have Subscribe and Save. The post-purchase flow is now going to be your biggest upsell to get people to subscribe and save. Or at the very least, it should be the biggest way for you to cross-sell and pair things together. So if you don't have Subscribe and Save, treat this as, hey, this is what you should be buying in pairs. Then hopefully what should happen is they will then place an order, and they then go into place the order 2 times. From here, we want to wait 30 minutes instead of sending the email straight away. Send them over saying, hey, thanks so much for coming back. Subscribe and save to make sure that every single time thereafter, you're actually saving, and you can choose. It's super easy to subscribe and save. Then we actually send a review request. We want to send a review request the second order, not on the first, because here they're still trying to understand if they like our product. But once they place the second order, there's no one more willing to give a positive review than someone who just placed the second order because they loved our first one that much. And in between waiting for their second order, they want to do us a favor. So that is the best intent to capture a review from someone. And lastly, a refill reminder again. Then, aside from that, and this is not 3 days, this will be around 30 days, so that's a typo. Then we want to make sure that we're splitting it off based on whether they've ordered 3 times or more or spent a specific amount. We want to wait, and then we want to send them store credit as incentive for their next purchase to guarantee they really stay on. And then we want to give them entry into a VIP flow. Or, at the very, very, very least, we want to push them again into Subscribe and Save if they haven't already. And we want to push them into loyalty programs if you have them. So this is kind of how this will look. You can run through this, but this is everything I just mentioned. This will increase AOV, increase LTV as well. So this is how it should look, right? This is what it used to look like. It's kind of the same, thanks for your purchase, and then you just pretty much send them a receipt. You want to make the order confirmation yours. You want to make sure it's branded. Show them exactly what they got. Let them track the order. A custom design that matches the branding so they trust you. Show off the positive reviews and community around the product and make them excited that they made a great choice. And then here is where you want to kind of give them an intel on, hey, here's how to use the product. Here's what to do. And so this is an example of an email we built out where it shows you each dosage guide per category depending on what they purchased. Then what we do is we send a personal email. And this is, hey, we don't want it to say, hey, I saw your order and blah, blah, blah. We want to make sure that we're sending this as a person and not a brand. So for us, we want to say, hey, it's Jared here. I saw your order come through and wanted to say thank you personally, blah, blah, blah. So like I said in the first part of the video, we want to make sure that we're leading with personality. We're making sure that we're kind of digressing or removing buyer's remorse. And we also making sure that we are talking about our reviews. We're talking about how excited we are to have them part of the family. We're talking about how much this means to us and also how much it means to them. So it's just a plain text email. There's nothing fancy here. Then we want to do start getting excited. Here's what to expect. What arrives, when it will arrive, what it will feel like, how to use it, and reiterate the choice that they made. Show how many people have gotten it as well. So again, this email talking about dosages is super important. Then what we like to do is not only a dosage guide, but we also like to show them what else they could pair with the product, depending on their mood, depending on who they are, depending on what they like. And so over here, we actually break down categories of people, what they like, who they are, and then we send them kind of recommendations in future for the products they might like. So this is a pairing guide, right? And so from here, and you can play around with this however you want, right? This is completely up to you. Now, email 5, we pick something out for you. This is super, super, super important. This is when they're starting to run low. We're pushing them to subscribe and save. And then we also show them exactly what they purchased previously, giving them an option to reorder. So this is a dynamic block that will show what they added previously. And then we also giving them an option for dynamic items that are specific to what Klaviyo and email marketing recommends using AI based on what they purchased before. So if AI can see, hey, most people that purchase this specific product are also most likely to purchase this product alongside it. We want to make sure we're recommending that. So this will do all the heavy lifting for us. And you can see we have some variations for this. So what pairs with that? We found your match, 2 ways to play it out. You can restock your order, but you can also add to your order. Either way, don't let your order run out. Now, second purchase. This is how we do it. The second order is super important because here is where we really want to dial in, hey, you're pretty much stuck with us, right? And we want to treat you as best as possible. You're now a repeat customer. You're part of the family. And so what we do is we say, we really see you. We appreciate you. And so here's what you can do next. Save 20% on every other order and ship on your schedule. You pick how often you get your products instead of having to manually place the orders. So we're trying to make it seem super easy. And we want to make sure that they know, look, on your second month, you'll get free goodies in every single order. So we're making it a no-brainer. Subscribe and save instead of placing an order every single time. You're getting a discount every time. Why wouldn't you? We send another plain text email, and this one is asking for a review. Like I said, this is the highest intent. And then thirdly, it is the worst when your order is about to run out. So we do another refill reminder at the end of this sequence. So that's kind of how we like to do it. What we like to do is lock in the lifetime customer. So we wait an hour for that third purchase, and then we give them store credit. We push them towards subscribe and save, and we make them a VIP customer. Now, here are some examples of how other brands do it. So, for example, this brand that is a smile brand or like a teeth whitening brand, what they do is email number 1 just saying congrats, track your order, thank you so much, blah, blah, blah. Then we're getting your order ready. They show the order that they placed. They show shipping soon. Your order is almost ready to leave our warehouse. Kind of getting them excited, like I said. And if you have any questions, here you go. Then an order update, how to use that specific product, and then they upsell. And here's how True Classic does it. So again, a welcome. They almost like re-welcome the entire audience into a post-purchase flow, which is what you should be doing. So welcome. And then you want to remove the remorse over here by making them super excited, answering some common questions. That is a good one to really have. Reviews, showing exactly what people are saying. So again, they're getting more excited. Almost shipped, just an update. It has been shipped, another update. And then a gift card voucher, which is a really, really good gesture to guarantee the next time that they come back. And they can kind of gift and refer people. And then giving them a repeat purchase opportunity by suggesting other products that go along with the one they suggested, or that the one that they purchased. So this is kind of the hierarchy. If you guys watching this have a brand and you have no loyalty or subscribe and save, push them into a VIP flow. But if you do have subscribe and save plus loyalty, this is kind of the order of it, right? You want to make sure that you're pushing them to subscribe and save first, and then as a last resort, loyalty. Subscribe and save will always trump everything else. You want to guarantee that they will repeat order. So this is the incorrect way, just to recap: order confirmation, review request, cross-sell, and then you hope. This is the correct way. You want to send branded confirmation, a founder thank you, set the expectations, teach the usage, dynamic cross-sell, subscribe and save, review on number 1 on the second order, refill and step up, and then VIP on order number 3. Again, this all is going to increase your AOV and LTV. So instead of you constantly having to acquire new customers, you're getting way more out of your existing ones, and you're getting CAC payback on your ads, which is the golden key, right? So let me know what flow you want me to break down next, and hopefully this gives you a really good idea of how you can actually break down the post-purchase flow. But go down below, let me know. Otherwise, if you are a brand that is looking for an agency to come in and build all of this for you so you don't have to think about the strategy, go down below, book in a call. We would be happy to speak to you if you're making at least $50,000 per month. But otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Watch for the next ones because I love breaking down flows, and I will see you in the next.